How is everyone doing? I'll let you know right now, I'm cooked. Was out last night, had a few too many. So I'm feeling very rough right now. But I'm still bringing you the review. I always bring the reviews. You will always see me every week. So this is the review for the week commencing 23rd of May for Raw and Smackdown. We started Riddle came out at the beginning. He seemed a bit emotional, seemed a bit upset because obviously he just lost the titles to the Usos, the Ones. And he mentioned what I didn't know, but Randy is now seemed to be off for a little while. He's got a back injury. So effectively, I believe that's the end of RKO as we know it, because apparently before the match with the Usos last week, Randy couldn't walk. He could barely stand up because his back was hurting him, but he still did the match, but they lost. And basically, yeah. So that led into a match with the Street Profits and Riddle versus Sami Zayn and the Usos. Really good match. Really good match, obviously. Awesome tag teams. But in the end, the Usos walked out on Sami Zayn, and then he got basically pinned by Riddle. So yeah, that was that. Then it was Bobby Lashley. He was talking about facing Omos in Hell in a Cell and what he's going to do. But he put a challenge out to MVP, so that if he beats him, then he can have his stipulation in a Hell in a Cell match. So we'll see what happens there later on in the show. Judgment Day come on. They're talking about new members joining the faction. They mentioned people like AJ. They mentioned Finn Balor. They mentioned Liv Morgan. So we'll see what happens. That's quite interesting. And obviously Edge berates the fans as well in the arena, which is quite funny as well. That then led into a match with Liv Morgan and AJ versus Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Good match. Obviously that all can go. But then Edge basically interfered. I think he grabbed Liv Morgan's leg, like sort of a distraction. And then Rhea Ripley got the roll up, I believe. Then it was the King's Court with Veer Mahan. He started, it's basically an interview with Veer. Veer basically was not having it. He wasn't talking, didn't say anything until King started insulting him. And then he started talking. And then he looked like he was going to beat him down. But then the Mysterios came out. And then there was a big brawl that ensued afterwards. So quite interesting to see what's happening there. Then it was Alexa Bliss versus Nikki ASH, I believe. Or she just Nikki now. Anyway, yeah, good match between her and Alexa Bliss, but Alexa Bliss won in the end. Then it was Cody versus The Miz. Really good match. Obviously, both of them can go. Match didn't finish. Today is just about run-ins and DQs. The match didn't finish because Seth Rollins interfered and it turned into a DQ, so we didn't see a finish there. Then it was Gable versus Ezekiel. It was a decent match, but then Otis and Kevin Owens got involved, and they didn't get involved in the match. They tried to get involved, but the referee ejected Otis. Then KO got involved in the match, and KO got ejected, which then led Ezekiel to get the roll up on Gable. So it was Gable versus Ezekiel anyway. Then we had MVP versus Lashley. So if MVP wins, he gets to pick the stipulation. But basically what happened was Omos was outside ringside and distracted Lashley. Lashley started beating him up, which led him to get counted out, which then led to MVP being the winner. And now he can pick the stipulation. And in the main event, we had Asuka versus Becky Lynch. If Becky Lynch wins, the title match between Asuka and Bianca Belair will be a triple threat match. And yes, you guessed it, Becky did win. And then it's now a triple threat match. It was just a bit weird because I think Becky laid out Asuka outside the ring. Then Asuka beat the 10 count and got in the ring. And she just laid down and then she got pinned. That's probably the weirdest pin I've ever seen. But yeah. Then we're on to SmackDown. Usos, they come out, they basically cut a promo, personal promo, saying thanking the fans. They've been in the WWE for 12 years, sort of leading you to think they might turn face. And then they turned on the fans saying, hey, we don't care. We did it for ourselves. We don't care about you fans, basically. Then Shin comes out and said he wants to face the Usos for the titles. And then he brought a partner, which was Riddle. It then turned into a big brawl. And that was that. So then we had Ronda Rousey versus Raquel Rodriguez, I believe her name is. So they was having a good match, like a face versus face match. And then there was interference from Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Then it interfered into the match. That got turned into a DQ. Then it gets restarted as a tag match. Then it was Ronda Rousey and Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shayna. And Rodriguez won in the end. Then was Ginger and Shanky versus the Los Galos, whatever you call them. I've never remember their name. Them guys, the Los Galos, Angel Garza and them guys, they actually won due to a distraction. So that was good for them. Then Max Dupree is here. He's basically saying he's on SmackDown now. Adam Pearce is saying how his contract is legitimate, so he's now part of SmackDown. Then KO show had Sami Zayn on there. Basically, Sami Zayn was saying how he believes that Ezekiel is not Ezekiel, it's Elias. And then them two got into an argument because KO said the bloodline don't care about you. And then Sami Zayn goes, Ezekiel is actually Elias's brother. And then they got into a little bit of a shoving match, and now they're not friends anymore. Then Gunter and his manager, I think his name's Kaiser, went against Drew Gulak and Ricochet. Good match, but obviously, come on now, Gunter's not going to lose, and his actually manager won the match. And then we had the main event was New Day and special partner, everyone guessed it, Drew versus Sheamus, Butch and Ridge. Really good match, but in the end, Xavier won and got the pin. So yeah, good night of wrestling. I think the weirdest thing was actually the Oscar pin. That didn't make any sense. She breaks the 10 count, goes into the ring, and then lays down and gets pinned. That made no sense. But anyway, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I feel rough.